An art journal tutorial, Take Life One Cup at a Time by Creative Katie. That's me. Take time to subscribe to the channel. Select the option to get notified by email and you won't miss another video. Here's a sneak peek of the finished page. Love those jewel tones. So as usual, I started off with a gessoed page. And I'm getting out my flexible modeling paste and putting it through a stencil. I believe this stencil is an Art Mind stencil, and I got it at Michael's. It's kind of in the home decor section, not in the mixed media section. They have some great stencils in that set. So I'm just putting this all over the page. Now I decided that I'm going to start with one with the teacups or the coffee cups in a row. I've seen these pages on Pinterest and stuff, and I was just, I had to do it. So I got a free printable for a mug, and I dug out all my jelly prints, and I traced some with my Inktense white. Later I just cut kind of freehand. At the end of this video, I realized that I could have, and I should have, flipped over the template and had some of the cup handles on the other side. So if I was doing that page over, I would do that so that you would have it on the reverse. But I wasn't really following any particular Pinterest post, so I didn't catch that little mistake. As I learned, putting a bit of yellow in the middle and on the side of every page just seems to always work. I don't know why it works, but it's a trick that I've discovered by watching other people do things on YouTube video, and so it's something I've just incorporated into my style. So I'm doing a combination of blending the Liquitex Basics with my fingers and with a baby wipe, and I'm just layering the colors. And I want to get some of the color in the nooks and the crannies of the texture paste that's there. And I'm just building it up till it looks right to me. I don't know how to say that any better. When I first started painting with my fingers, it was extremely scary. I thought, okay, what am I doing? But it kind of works out. It's a technique I haven't used for quite a while. It felt good, kind of like coming back home. And I'm just loving the jewel tones, the rich, rich jewel tones of this background. Take time to stop in between and dry the paint before you try to layer more. If you keep layering and it's wet, you sometimes remove paint. Now, as much as I love the jewel tones, I want the background a little bit more subdued, so I'm just mixing up wet gesso. I'm putting the gesso on there, spraying it with the bottle, and spreading it over, and then using a baby wipe to pull off some of the more of the gesso in certain places so you have the richer colors peeking through. So I was just trying my coffee cups there, and as you saw, they don't really stand out. They kind of fall into the background. Just out shading it with black around the edges and on top of the bumpy parts, just to add some more dimension to the color. Now I was going to use my homemade stamp and decided not to, but I dug out my gold, and I'm using my favorite French script stamp. I'll put the link in the description box to where you can get that stamp in my Amazon store. And I'm just putting the gold everywhere. From afar you really can't see it, but up close it just makes it shine. You get that little bit of glimmer. Always, 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 if you're using your stamps with acrylic paint, clean them right away. Don't wait, because they will clog up your stamps, and stamps are way too expensive. Now this is a piece of drywall tape, and it's kind of a mesh, and I don't know why. I had it actually stuck to one of my containers, but I don't know why, but I suddenly decided that instead of putting it on, I'm just going to use it as a stencil. And I love the effect. So I put some black through it, some blue, some purple, and some gold. And it just gives that little thatched mark. It definitely is a stencil that I will use more often because I absolutely loved it. So I'm trying to ink up the edges of my cups because I want to define them from the background. The background is very jewel toned, so are the cups, and I want the cups to stand out. So shading around the edges is one way to achieve that. So I'm putting them, selecting them, mixing them this way, that way, and as usual, I cut out more than what I'm going to need just so I have some options. I always have a hard time deciding which ones I want, so you know, if there's 5 cups that end up on here, I may have cut 10. The others just go in my stash and I use them on a future page. Adhering it with gel medium. And right now you can see for most of those colors, they're just kind of falling into the background. So you're going to see how detail work and what I do or attempt to do, because I try different things to get those cups to stand out. And maybe you can use those techniques on some of your pages where you find have a similar problem. So I'm using my Stabilo All pencil. So this is attempt 1 or attempt 2 to make these cups pop. So I'm going around it with my Stabilo All pencil and then activating it with a small round brush. Now if you don't have a Stabilo All pencil, you can use an Inktense or watercolor pencil, crayon, or block to do that. You can use gelatos, although I find them more difficult to manipulate because they're wider. The Distress crayons would probably work as well. The Neocolor 2s in a black would probably work. So you don't need all those products, you need one to do basically the same thing. You can also use the Faber-Castell Pitt pens, a black. And I'm wetting some gesso, thinning it out, and just splattering because I want a little bit of white. I'm finding the page a little dark, and so that's kind of the theme for the next few activities, just trying to brighten this page up a little bit. So splatters is another one. And I didn't want it on the cups, I just wanted it on the background. So there you can kind of get a glimpse of the shimmer of the gold, be it through the drywall tape or the script stamp. So I'm using the Stabilo All pencil and going over some of the modeling paste and then going over with the gold gel pen. Love my shimmer, there's got to be gold. I love my Jelly Roll pens, the metallic ones that I have. They're terrific and they work so easy. Excuse me. I often find that if you darken it and then go over it with the gold, the gold stands out a little bit more. So that's why I'm doing both. And just adding more interest and detail. So I got the phrase, take life one cup at a time. Not original at all. Cutting it up and placing it. And deciding how I like it. Now again, I picked the font because I got the big, bold, thicker letters that I like, and I like having the white in the background. Again, that's part of my attempt to brighten and lighten the page. So I decided I want to scratch around the outside. Now I'm using a dollar store pen, and what I realize at the end when I start to glue this on, that it's not permanent. And between the Stabilo All pencil that's underneath and the black pen on top, I was getting some definite smudges. decided I needed a little bit more white to brighten the page, so I grabbed one of the caps that I had right there, just adding some bubbles, another layer of texture and design pattern. And using gel medium, I glue these down. And although I'm careful, because I do realize that the top is not going to be permanent, it smudged, and I simply wasn't happy with it. I thought, can I leave it? I tried to touch it up. I tried to spray it with Spectrafix a little bit too late, too little too late, and so I just rip it right off before it's dried, and I go to my printer and print off another sheet, and we start over. Sometimes you just got to know when to say when, and that was the case here. I liked everything about this. I forgot which mediums I used and the limitations that go with that. I left it in so that you could see how to fix a mistake, because it happens to all of us. Now, as I'm looking at this page, I'm still finding that the cups aren't standing out as much as I would like. I've added light and white to the paper, and the cups just aren't standing out as much as I like. Now, if you like the way they are, at this point, you could just stop. I'm just going around with the Stabilo oil pencil around my letters this time, my words, and giving it a good dry. So I get out my Uniball Signo white pen, which isn't working, so I grab another one, and I'm outlining it in white. And again, this is so that I want to see those cups pop. So I've gone around with I've shaded them before I glued them down. I went around with the Stabilo oil pencil in black, and now I'm outlining them in the white Uniball Signo. Now I'm thinking, okay, this is working, but it's not dark enough. It's not bright enough. So I grab my big brush marker. This is the only one I have, my Faber-Castell. And it's permanent, and I like it doesn't seem to be as white. It kind of picked up some of the Stabilo oil pencil and got kind of gray. And so it wasn't as white as I'd like. But as you can see, it did help make these cups stand out. If I was doing it again, I would probably just thin some paint and use my liner brush. I'm adding dots of gold on the letters, just to tie in the letters with the background that has the gold. So everything ties in with something else that's already there. So you're not introducing something totally random. There is a connection. And then I decided that I'm just going to trim all the cups with gold. Again, tie the whole page together. Making sure that the edge is nice and dark so it frames the picture, the page. Really liking the page. And there's the completed page, all done. I just love the jewel tones. And some close-ups, so you can see the texture and the design of the drywall tape there, the gold on the texture paste, and the richness of those colors up close and personal. You got some really rich colors. This was a fun page to do, and I'm happy with how it turned out, but there's a few things that I would do differently. Thank you so much for watching me. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next video.